Oh, my bad. I think my mic was muted. I apologize about that. My mic was muted all the time. Talking all that time, and my mic was muted actually. So again, instant reaction podcast here, post show. What do you call it? Reacting to WWE Backlash. This finished about 30 minutes ago. Rob, you know I would text you at the show. Very good show for the record. Very good show. I enjoyed it, and it's fast and easy. Dude, I love these less than 3 hour PLEs. Get in, get out.
Yeah, well, this is actually the first one they had in a while that they actually did that.
Yeah.
Because that's been one of my knocks on the past year or so has been, even when they've had these shorter PLEs, they've still gone 3 hours or longer because
Yeah.
they have 15 million ads, or they have some, or they have some big talking segment or something going
Yeah.
on, and they didn't have any of that this time. They didn't have 50 million commercials.
Nope. Thank God for that.
They didn't have any. They didn't have like, no talk show segment that ate up like 3 minutes.
There
None of.
was a Karate Kid segment though. There was the pushing
I
Karate
mean,
Kid
but
movie.
that wasn't long. It was like 30 seconds.
It's not bad. I mean, you already know what you complain about this stuff all the time about the advertisements. I remember looking. I remember during the Becky Lara match. I'm looking at the ring on top. I'm like, geez, Morgan and Morgan, really? Morgan and Morgan, really? Like all these ads, dude. Like, come on, bro.
Yeah. I guess I guess I didn't really have a big problem with the ads on the ring or whatever.
Yeah.
I hate it when they do like 10 commercials.
Yes.
Or when they did like the last WrestleMania when they did the product placement matches.
Yeah.
That stuff. I mean, like, putting somebody's name on the ring apron. I don't really care. I'm
Yeah.
because I mean, I grew up watching boxing, and plenty of people watching NASCAR or whatever, and it's just um. But the biggest thing to me is that they did not waste any time. They
No,
went
everything
right
was
through.
everything was efficient. Executed well. 7 o'clock got in. I remember texting you in the middle of the show. I'm like, dude, this thing might end before 9:30. Although I realized, nah, it ain't gonna end at 9:30. Come on, you got to figure the Cena Orton match is gonna go. They're gonna between all the entrances and everything else, and how slow the match is gonna be because of how older they are and methodical. It's gonna go at least 30 minutes. At least that 30 minutes. You got to give for that time, and it went a little more than that. But like I said, no real surprises tonight. Honestly, it was a very good show altogether. My match quality, I told you, was excellent on the board. Obviously we'll go through some of the matches here and now. Obviously, the main event: John Cena and Randy Orton. Cena retains the world title, undisputed title rather, defeating Randy Orton in a very chaotic match. A match that I get a B plus because initially the match was kind of slow and whatever, but that's to be expected. Two guys in the mid-40s, Cena a little older than that, but it picked up. It picked up. The chaos picked up toward the end with Randy Orton RKO City. RKO, what was like 8 RKOs total, 9 RKOs between
Yeah.
I think 3 with Cena and then like a couple of ones for some of the WWE officials. I mean, I thought for what it was, obviously you're not going to get the 2010 special or the OVW special way back when, but for where these guys are in a career and for what they're bringing to the plate, I thought it was a productive show, productive
Yeah.
match, especially.
And I mean, like, I mean, yes, you could have. You didn't need to take out 3 referees. They could have done like, but but I had no complaints. It was pretty much what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
I mean, there are going to be shenanigans galore, and I called the R-Truth and interference.
You did say that. You did say
Yeah,
that. And I think the R-Truth thing, that's not just some one off. I think R-Truth might be the most underrated person in this story, this end of the Cena story. As you know, R-Truth is the quote unquote biggest Cena fan on the planet.
yeah,
I think R-Truth will have a major say in the storyline as you get towards rest of 2025. So I think what you saw there was not just him coming there just to hang out. I think he's gonna be very much involved in this Cena storyline as we wind down this his career here. But I loved it. I wasn't shocked that it happened, but the execution was really good. I thought.
yeah. And I figured I figured it would be like an accidental kind of thing. Like he's
Yeah.
not like R-Truth is not going to turn heel here. Uh,
No. No.
no,
He's too loved, dude. He's way too loved.
yeah. So it's going to be. Um, I figured it would be some an accidental thing like that where he meant well, but he caused some stuff to happen
Yeah,
inadvertently. So and that's how it played out. So yeah, I mean, look, it went, it went how I figured it was going to go, and also, I mean, as far as it being more methodical, well, I think this called for that because thing is, I mean, both of those guys, I mean, that's been their style for a
yeah,
while, and it's good to have that. It's you don't want to have one style of match for every match.
yeah. Of
Right?
course.
You need to mix it up. It's good to have you know one match where they do that way, and then you could have another match where you didn't. Because in that way, when you have one of your other matches is faster paced and a bunch of high spots and stuff. That way, you got variety and it's not the same type of match 4 or 5 different times.
And,
So, I had no
yeah.
problem with them doing a more methodical kind of match.
No, I love that. And again, it has to be methodical. These guys are not not in their prime anymore. Both of them. I mean, both Orton's 45. I think Cena's 47. So they're not in the prime anymore. You have to. So this is what you're going to get out of these guys. You can't expect them to be doing anything they did like even 10 years ago. I knew. Look, when I looked at the match card and I saw the 5 matches, I said, well, work rate wise, this probably might be the worst match of the 5. And not to say worse isn't bad, but worse isn't worse in terms of like just it's going to be a little more. You know, they're going to drag a little bit because these guys are a little older. Not only that, John Cena's not. He's not regular. He hasn't been a regular participant in WWE in a while now. So you can't expect him to just have this kind of like oh, we're gonna see John Cena of 2010 or 2013. No, that's not what it is. But what they can do well, and what we saw tonight, this is why I love Randy Orton. This is why I think Randy Orton's one of the most underrated guys in wrestling history. They tell a great story. They tell a great story in the ring,
Yeah.
and they suck you in.
And also, I mean, like, they didn't sit on a headlock for 10 minutes.
No, and we got more we expected. We got table spots. I mean,
Yeah.
hello,
And so,
in the 40s. Come on.
yeah, because I mean, a lot of times when, when people when people think about
Mhm.
slowing down or whatever, they get kind of an image of somebody sitting on a headlock for 10 minutes or whatever.
Right.
And they didn't do that. Right. So look, as long as they didn't do nothing like that, then it's fine. And they didn't. They didn't sit on a headlock for 10 minutes. They didn't, nobody was laying on the floor for 10 minutes, and while
Yeah.
somebody else was laying in the ring, nothing like that.
Nope.
So, they just and look, and honestly, neither one of them neither of them has ever been like just a 90 miles an hour, high
No,
spot person guy.
not at all.
So
No.
it's I mean, so I'd give it I don't know, I'd give it a B plus because you didn't need 3 ref bumps, maybe you
Yeah,
could have
that's a little much. That was a little much. I'm
yeah,
like,
I'm like
okay, come on.
I think you could have got away with 1. You could have done 1
Yeah.
you didn't need 3. And honestly, yeah, I mean, so that got a little, that got a little bit too much, but other than that, I mean, I had no complaints about that at all.
Right. By the way, we have a lot of people watching the show right now. Currently, if you are feel free to chat with us. Well, we're here live. Here, we'll be here for another like 20 something minutes just to react to the show. If you want to comment, leave some comments in the comment section. Feel free. We'll probably list your comment on the screen as we're going through here. Yeah, I can also get a B plus as well too for the same reason you just did. I know they made this match. They kept plugging this match as though this is the last time. They've met now before this match 24 times in entire career, head to head. I'm not fully convinced it's the last match though.
Um, Maybe not. I mean, like they might do something, no DQ kind of deal or something.
Yeah,
Um,
maybe I don't see maybe it won't be in a PLE. I don't see the Money in the Bank, or I won't see this as a obviously not a SummerSlam match or even something beyond that. But I can see this at a Sunday Night Main Event. I can see this at a Raw SmackDown.
um, I mean, I can see. Well, I think they're going to save Cena's matches for PLEs. I don't think he's going to be wrestling on television.
Correct. But if they go back to the Orton well again, it will be probably the main event or a TV match, a random TV match.
So I think, well, I think, I mean, they could do Money in the Bank, because that's the next one, right? So
Yes, next one.
yes, I
Yeah,
mean,
I mean, you got the main event in 2 weeks though, but that's too soon.
then I think they're doing Jay and Logan Paul there. They
Yeah,
announced that. So yeah, you can do it Money in the Bank. You can do it one more time and no DQ or whatever, and you can do that. And so because I think the Randy RKOing all those officials, I think well, you can't that can't just be a thing with no consequences, right?
right, right.
So that's going to come into play some kind of way. But I think, yeah, I mean, you can go back to it in Money in the Bank, because I think we've talked about this. I mean, he doesn't have like a long line of babyface challengers, really.
Well, he mentioned that too. Also, at the end of his match, it's like competition.
Yeah.
It's
So
funny when he said that. The first person came to mind is like, is this where Brock Lesnar comes out? And like, of course, it didn't happen. But
no,
I'm
no.
thinking of a guy who will come out here to surprise the world. I'm thinking Brock Lesnar's probably the only other guy in his past that maybe can. But no. But he's tied up in all other bullshit.
Yeah.
That's way
And
too. Yeah,
so I mean, out of all his big rivals, um, Edge, of course, is over in AEW. Kurt Angle's retired. Um, but
there is no shot Edge. Well, I mean, do you know his contract situation? Is he like is his deal AEW going through 2025?
oh yeah, yeah, he's tied up for another year or two.
So there's no way the hell he can get back here to
Yeah,
do anything.
no,
Okay,
no,
okay, damn.
and he said, man, and he said basically when this contract is up, he's done.
I don't blame him.
Yeah,
The fact they got 5 more years of Edge after what happened with his neck,
yeah. I
2011
mean,
is
so hey, look,
pretty
I
amazing.
mean, yeah, we're all playing with house money there.
Yeah,
Uh,
no doubt.
but I think you can get one more match. You can get one more PLA match with Randy. I think.
It might be one of those clash. Maybe the clash later in the year. It won't be
Yeah.
on the major ones. We want from the B shows again.
So I don't think it won't be the next. It won't be Money in the Bank because Cena saying he wants competition. That would imply that there's going to be somebody else.
Yeah.
So I think, which is a question of who.
Yeah, that's a good question. So who on the roster? Cena hasn't. I mean, you always go to Roman. Well, I'm not saying they're gonna do that, but there's always the
I don't
Roman
think they
part.
will, because I don't think because Roman ain't doing no jobs, brother. Not until he has to.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Exactly.
yeah, I think, and I'm saying that look, Roman Reigns is my favorite male wrestler on the of this era, and
Right.
yeah, you know,
Yeah.
look, he's figured out how to navigate that type of stuff. So, so that won't
Yeah.
be happening. Um,
CM Punk.
I was thinking Punk, but I guess now
There's
Punk,
history there between those two, and it works out great
yeah,
because Punk is a baby face and he's a heel. Yeah.
and I guess the only so. You could do that, and then now Punk is currently he's tied up with Rollins and Braun Baker, but you could just have them interfere in the match,
Right.
So, I mean, you could do that. So Punk is definitely a possibility. And, um,
I think we assume though, if you were to write the next couple months of programming for John Cena and what we believe is going to happen, like I think we all believe, and you and I think on the same page here that we think Cody will be back sometime this summer, most likely Money in the Bank, and most likely we believe that we will get a rematch at SummerSlam between Cody and Cena. Although I wonder if like because of the bad taste we have from WrestleMania, I do wonder if maybe Triple H is probably saying, I don't know, maybe we don't go that well one more time.
well, no, I think you got to. You can't have Cody. You can't do all of this and have Cody lose to him and then never face him again. I think they do that at SummerSlam. I think if you hold that
So
up.
that's what I think personally too. Also, so.
And then, but we got there's a Punk match in there. You can get another match with Randy. Because we got Money in the Bank. We got Night of Champions that they announced.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
when is Night of Champions? September?
oh no, that's June 28th.
Oh, is that going to be a PLE Peacock thing, or is that going to be a?
Yeah, 'cause it's in Saudi Arabia. Yeah, they announced it tonight.
So that's the buffer. So that is the buffer between SummerSlam and Money in the Bank. Then, so we're not going to have
Yeah,
the 8-7 week. But see, they're trying to avoid what they did WrestleMania. Have like a 8-7 week, 8 week build. That's too long.
yeah.
You need some between. Yeah.
So now I guess unfortunately that makes that looks like that no evolution is going to happen there. And then it looks like
Well, if you do Night of Champions, that means that it's only champions going to be fighting that night. Then
yeah.
obviously
So that's
between
just
Cena, yeah.
because the date that had been rumored for Evolution 2 was July 5th, which doesn't really make any sense.
That,
They're-
but they haven't announced it yet. They haven't announced anything
they
yet.
well, they announced it, and they're not going to. I think they announced Night of Champions for the Saturday before that. So I don't think.
I
Yeah,
honestly see it after SummerSlam. I'm not gonna lie to you.
we'll see. Yeah, but yeah, but so yeah, we got. I mean, there's a Punk match in there. We got all right. So we got Money in the Bank. We got Night of Champions. Then we got SummerSlam.
SummerSlam, and then we got the Clash.
So
Is it Paris or Australia?
some
Or is it?
clash, yeah, clash in Paris or clash in Australia or
There's a
something.
Clash, and then there's another one in between that and then Survivor Series.
Okay, so yeah, we get a Punk match. You get another match with Randy. I do think he'll have a match with R-Truth in there somewhere.
You think Cena and R2 actually lock heads?
I think, well, yeah, because I think, I mean, they'll have a match, yes, because
Hmm.
this will come because R-Truth, I think he'll figure out, what Cena's actually doing,
Right.
or somebody will smarten him up at some point, and he'll
Yeah. Yeah.
realize,
Yeah.
and then
I think Archer's will be the guy that does it, or at least starts him up that way.
yeah, so they'll have a match, I think. Um, but after that, you get Jimmy Uso in there, because he hasn't been doing anything for a while. So you can get him in there.
Jimmy? What, against Cena?
Well, I'm just thinking of baby faces they have on SmackDown. Right? I mean,
I
because
mean, you
other
got
than
some of those mid card guys also there too. I mean, LA Knight, you can use him.
well, yeah,
And
so you can all right, so you can get all right, so as far as baby faces on SmackDown, there's LA Knight, there's Jimmy,
I mean, Jacob Fatu is I mean, there's no way to use him, but he's a tweener at this point now.
well, but I would not put him in because then
Not one either. I give him a separate
because
group.
he's got to do a job and you don't want him doing no jobs right now.
Yeah, yeah.
So all right, so I would say there's Jimmy Uso, there's LA Knight, um, Priest.
But the thing is, there's only so many shows to go at. I don't think he needs that many more feuds going
No, he
forward.
doesn't.
We're now in middle of May. Okay, so all you need really is maybe 3 more feuds, and that's it. You're good.
Yeah, because again, because then we're still, if we're holding him to the to really being done at the end of the year, then that means he's got to flip back before in time enough
You know,
to.
you keep saying that though, but what if he does not flip back? I'm telling you.
Well, I mean, and until it doesn't happen, I mean, I just think that you can't have him come out.
Maybe indeed he does not flip back. Maybe indeed he leaves in December with the title. Maybe he does. Maybe all this is what he's saying is going to come to pass, and then we just don't get the thing. Remember, he thought when he turned, oh, we'll get corporate Cena and new wardrobe. He's the same fucking guy. He's the same guy that turned on Cody back in February.
Yeah, I'm not. No, there's still time for him to go there. I mean, because I mean, it's not uncommon. Like if somebody goes through like a villain story for them to
Yeah,
change as
yeah.
things are going. So you know, so that's possible still. But
Mm-hmm.
well, yeah, you're right. That you don't need that many challengers because it's what Money Bank, Night
Money
Champion,
Bank,
SummerSlam
SummerSlam, so, yeah.
for, and then Ruthless Aggression is in December. So
If anything, I can see if anything, just to fill in that spot, I can see a Randy Cena rematch at Night of Champions before SummerSlam. Just cause.
yeah, and then you get Punk in there for one. I think again, I think you get R-Truth in there for one. So yeah, so
All right, let's work backwards real quick, buddy.
okay,
So the first match of the night, we had the fatal 4-way for the U.S. title between the champion Jacob Fatu versus LA Knight versus Damian Priest versus Drew McIntyre. This match was fantastic.
yeah,
I told you we did a preview last week. This is the one I was looking forward to watching the most, and it did not disappoint at all.
yeah, and I still think it was the best. I think overall it was the best match of the night. I still think that.
I agree 100%. I'm watching this match, Rob, and I'm thinking to myself, well, here's the thing. One or two of these guys in this match will likely be in the main event picture by Royal Rumble time.
Man, we gotta see how it all plays out. But
This is a stacked dude, Rob. This is a very stacked mid card right now. We
yeah,
discussed it in the podcast a couple weeks ago. This is the most stacked I've seen this mid card in quite a while, and this is probably the first time since I've been watching in 6 years, since my little hiatus, and probably I remember anyway that the U.S. title actually means something now in a big way. This is great.
Yeah, and because because they have multiple challengers and they have guys who have been in main event matches as the challengers.
Right.
Look, I mean, that's always the conundrum with mid card titles, right? Because if you want them to really mean something, then you need to put main event level guys,
Yeah.
fighting for them, and that goes back to even like Randy Savage, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
but but then I mean, but then at the same time, that also defeats the purpose of having a mid card title because the mid card title is supposed to be for those mid card guys. But the problem is when you stick to mid card people, then well, the audience doesn't have the same interest in it, and it just you know
Unless you have the right guys in the mid card, I mean, you
but
have guys, you have former champion Drew McIntyre involved in this whole situation, former
yeah,
champion Damian Priest involved in it right now. You got Jake Paul 2, who is on the way up right now. You have LA Knight, who's been one of the most over mid carders in the last 2 years.
yeah.
So it makes sense.
I mean, because usually, I mean, unless you have somebody like Tito Santana was really over when he was Intercontinental Champion,
Yeah.
and nobody thought he was going to be world champion. So he was an example of a guy who was a mid carder, but who that belt mattered when he was champion. Miz is another one. I mean, it's every now and then you get somebody like that who is a bona fide mid carder, but they play it so well that that they can make the belt mean something.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you got to put main event guys
To put a shine on it.
in the picture for that belt, which is what they got right now. Because before when Shinsuke had it, he wasn't really doing much of anything. You know, so
Some of the guys been misused for the last like 6 years.
yeah, but so here, look, man. One thing like with Jacob Fatu, just the way he can just run through like three moves in a row.
That dude is
And
woo!
like it's just like with no gap in between them.
Nope.
And it's like because most of these guys when they try to do some sequence like that, when they do three moves in a row, they take forever. At some point, it takes between two of the moves they take forever, and it can almost take you out of the whole thing because there's some guy sitting there waiting for him to do something. Jacob, he goes just through them like boom, boom, boom. Like he'll shoulder block some guy and then clothesline a guy and then sprint up the top rope and jump off the top rope, right? And he'll
Yep.
do it so quickly that none of it looks bad, right? And none of it looks like you don't have guys sitting there waiting 30 seconds for him to go, for him to climb up the rope or whatever. He just goes through it so fast. And I mean, like I've been watching him since I've been watching him since he was in MLW, and that's back in 2018, 2019. And yeah, I mean, anybody who's watching him since then, like me, has just been waiting for him to get here. And like
Yeah.
we've been telling you all about this guy for years.
Well, I already said I mentioned when we opened a segment about this. Two guys that I see by the time we get to Rumble 2026. Two of these guys are going to be in the main event picture. I said Jacob Fatu is one guy I could see in the Rumble, winning the Rumble and going to Mania with facing champion. And I tweeted you, I texted you earlier, you and DJ earlier on a text machine that I'm ready for main event Drew again.
Yeah,
I think Drew McIntyre's been phenomenal in this mid card role for the last couple of years, and I think it's time to elevate him again.
yeah, and so it's I think he's definitely a possibility. I think Jacob is definitely going to be a major force come Rumble season. Yeah. And we've got the arrival of Jeff Cobb.
I was gonna say that. So the only time I've ever seen Jeff Cobb was when he debuted at AEW like 2019, 2020.
He's really
Obviously,
good.
I like his work. But I don't have much reference of him other than what's on AEW and the little things I was told about him. But yeah, I mean, of course that story. You have that story now between Solo and Jacob, and there's some little bit of dissension there. And when Jeff Cobb came and helped Jacob in that match, Jacob woke up. Well, after he was disheveled, woke up and was like, "What is he doing here?" And kind of like a little confused about what's going on. And so obviously that's the story you're telling right there. Like obviously we're gonna see a Solo Jacob breakup at some point in the next couple months.
Yes.
I'm assuming they're saving that for SummerSlam. I'm assuming that.
Um, yeah, because I thought they might do it at Mania, but
Yeah,
yeah,
I did too. Yeah.
yeah, they're waiting on it, and um, so we'll see how Jeff Cobb is involved because I've watched Jeff Cobb in seen him in Ring of Honor and seen him in New Japan. He's not he and Bronson Reed are not the same, but they have similarities
Yeah.
in terms of how their
He,
size and how they move around and all that
for
type
a
of stuff.
quick second when they showed him the reveal, I thought it was Bronson Reed at first. For a quick
Yes,
second.
they actually Bronson put on his Instagram. He put a picture of them sitting down having dinner. But
Oh.
so it's like because they were over in Japan around the same time.
Right.
Um, but and look, they'd be a hell
One
of
is
a
not the
tag
other.
team. They would be a hell of a tag team.
Oh hell yeah.
Once Bronson's ready to come back and ready to go.
He's hurt, right? He's hurt.
Yeah,
Okay.
because he hurt his leg in the War Games. Diving through the table.
Oh.
Yeah, because he did the tsunami off the top of the cage through the table, and he his ankle up or something.
Speaking of the table, that table spot with Damian and Drew in that match, I actually thought they got legit hurt for a second.
It looked like somebody
They were out for a little while.
yeah.
They're to return.
And look at that. I mean, obviously that spot was meant to take them both out of the match.
Of course,
Yeah.
yes, yeah.
But yes, I mean, somebody might have got. I don't. Somebody may have gotten hurt there. Kind of a couple people in the group chat. I mean, DJ are in. One of them pointed out that
Yeah,
bangs his head on the floor.
Yeah, I'm really glad that they haven't ended this Drew Damian Priest feud because it's been real talk. It's actually been one of the hottest feuds in the company right now.
Yeah, and I mean, it's good that they. I mean, yeah, again, it is good that they hung on to it. So
Yeah, I'm really glad
because sometimes when they do those matches for WrestleMania, it ends up just being a one-off, and just and it ends up being just a thing. Well, we need these two guys weren't doing anything, so well,
I mean, we want to go further. This feud, do a Hell in a Cell match. Do a Hell in a Cell match at Money Bank. Unless they're going to be in the match to get the title, to get the chance to get the belt.
I could see them both being in the ladder match, and then
then the Hell in a Cell after, right?
Yeah, and then like maybe like a Night of Champions or something. You do like they might have or a SummerSlam,
right?
Because SummerSlam's 2 nights, so you need material.
That's right. You need material, absolutely. I get this match at A, as well. I loved it. Best match of the night for me.
Yeah.
All right, then we have the women's IC title match between Lyra Valkyria and Becky Lynch. I really like this match.
It was very good.
Really look. I am not, and people know this already. I am not the biggest Becky Lynch fan. I'm not. However, when she goes to work, and they worked. And the thing I'm watching here is that she got the necessary heat she needed now. I think Lyra is finally starting to pick up steam now. No one questions Lyra's in-ring work. She's phenomenal in the ring. It's more about her on the mic and connecting with the audience and whatnot. But I thought the last couple promos she's done the last couple of weeks, combined with now Becky heat here, I think they are starting to get the desired result from her now in the last couple of weeks. And this match obviously put it over the top. So, your thoughts?
Oh yeah, well look, honestly with Lyra, the whole thing is it all comes down to after this is over, whether people are interested in her feuding with somebody else.
This is true.
That's honestly that's what it comes down to. Because we've seen that with other people. When they're matched up with a big name person, there's people are interested in at that point, and then once they move on or move to something else, they're not as interested in that person. So honestly, that's all it comes down to her at this point. Whether or not once her and Becky are finished, can she be kind of the point person in the feud? Afterwards, that's when you'll know how far she's really, where she's going to end up career wise, if she can be the point person in the feud after this is over.
Yeah, I'm with you. This is obviously not over yet. I think there'll be more meat in the bone.
Oh yeah, you don't do that aftermatch stuff. And be over, and then also, and look, I still fully expect Bailey to be involved at some point.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that.
Yeah,
The question is when. We actually, I think you had said that you thought Bayley may come out
No,
this
I
week.
thought she was going to cost Becky the match tonight,
Right.
but yeah, at some point she is going to come out and get involved.
Yeah. I we'll probably do a heel face down the road, and throwing Becky's name in there. But Becky, I'll just say right now, just for the sake of conversation, I prefer Becky as a heel than as a babyface.
Um,
I
I
kind of do.
I get kind of irritated when she works heel because she doesn't stop playing to the crowd, and I personally I hate that from heel.
Okay.
And because the EO Sky used to infuriate me, okay, because when she was a heel, she never stopped doing the stuff she would do to play to the crowd, and that just infuriates me to no end.
It was also hard to buy into her as a heel, even though I know she was a heel in that faction. It was hard to buy into her as a heel, though. It really was. She was too adorable.
Well, I mean, okay, but you're playing. I mean, for me, but okay, but you're doing that right. But that's
No,
for
I agree. No, brother, I agree with you 100%. I'm just saying that with her, I get it. It just something came natural to her just to play to the crowd. But again, it was hard for me to buy her as a heel. She,
oh
she
well,
she is
me
where she
too.
should
I
be.
mean, no, I mean me too. And so to me, if I'm judging how somebody does as a heel, that's part of how I judge it. Like
Yeah, that's true.
are you doing the things you're supposed to do? Like because like with Roman, I mean, yes, there were people cheering him because he had some long term time diehard fans that were not going to boo him. Those of us who were in the trenches,
Like you,
yeah.
like
But
me.
he never he acted like a heel the whole time. He never once acted like a babyface. He did everything was despicable and abusive and underhand.
You mean pre heel turn?
No, I mean I'm talking about during the whole tribal chief run.
Oh yeah, he was always a heel. He was always a heel.
He
I
did
still consider him a
like
heel now,
yeah.
somewhat.
So I mean that's what I mean. Like so he never stopped. Like he didn't do anything noble or
No,
he didn't play to the crowd and other than putting the one up in the air, but so when I say people when I judge people's heel work, that's to me I mean you gotta I think because like and look it seemed like with Seth Rollins like I need him to ditch the damn music, okay, because
no, you can't.
to me you
You
can't
can't.
be
Whoa. You can't do that to me, bro. You
yes
can't do that to me.
well I mean
You can't
they're
do that
not
to me though.
they're
That's
not
my
going to they're not going to because
obviously. Yeah.
they're not because the crowd singing along with his music is part of the act, and that's part of what's gotten them up to this point now. So they're not going to do it. But
However,
I'm
right.
saying that you'd be more effective heel if you did, and because part of being a heel is you're supposed to take things away that the crowd wants. You're supposed to deny things that the crowd wants to see happen.
I get it. You're correct on that. I just have a hard time. I'm gonna miss that music if it goes away.
Well,
You
yeah,
know
I
what I'm
mean,
saying?
yeah, I know, but I mean,
But I also wonder if we're looking at things too, like because you and I are long time wrestling fans and look at things where
best stories are black. The best stories are still black and white, heels and heroes and villains.
you
Those are
think
still the best
you
stories.
think there's still a place today in 2025
What was the
to pull up
bloodline?
this.
The bloodline, they were villains. They were not tweeners. The bloodline, they were villains.
But
Roman Reigns was a villain. He was not a tweener. He was 100% villain. Okay.
yeah,
Yes, some of us liked him because we've been rooting for him all this time. But the character Roman Reigns, the tribal chief, was a full on 100% villain. He was not a tweener. He did not do anything noble. He did not do anything nice. He was a tweener. He was not a tweener. He was a full on bad guy.
but
Okay.
you know how I know Roman's still a heel? That whole lead up to WrestleMania, the way he treated Heyman like shit. Yeah, he treated him like shit. But Paul Heyman's right for the record. Paul Heyman's right from day one. He's right.
But what I'm saying, look, the story that turned around the entire company and led them into this period they are now had a 100% fully defined villain as the protagonist.
That's very true.
Okay, that's what made them the money.
Yeah.
Okay, what got them to where the story that got them to where they are now was not gray. It was not shades of gray. It was not tweeners. They were fully defined good guys and bad guys. And when somebody switched from being a bad guy to a good guy, there was a fully fleshed out story to get them there, like Sammy and Kevin and Jimmy and Jay. when they switched sides, there were everything was spelled out as to why.
Yeah.
Okay, and
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 again,
so
the
yes,
amount of guys that got the
the
amount of guys that
characters were all defined one way or the other, and
you're right,
that's the biggest story in the last what 25 years, maybe
longer.
since the
I say
NWO.
ever because of the fact that not only that, I was going to mention too, well, how many guys got over as a result of that
Yeah,
story.
I mean, but just
Sammy got over, Jay got over, you name it, anything from the bloodline, people who they fought in the bloodline that fought
yeah,
the bloodline
well, I mean,
got
it's
over.
just I mean, but it's the biggest thing. It's been a couple of decades since something got that big, and it had clearly defined good guys and bad guys.
But the fact that it lasted that long. See, we say Mega Powers, and I'm a Mega Powers diehard, but that was only a year and a half, 2 year odyssey.
Yeah,
This is
yes,
4 years, and this is 4 years in the era to do that 4 years in this era where storylines come and go in a few months.
and
And
where the whole audience has ADD.
exactly. So
Um,
that's why I get a lot more credence than anything else because they did it in the hardest era to do this kind of shit.
and they had very clearly defined heroes and villains.
This is very true. This is very true.
Okay,
And
so
I'm a fan of that. I'm a fan of having clear lines.
I think you can do gray as a departure, but when you do it too much, then it affects people's ability to it affects people's ability to get over if you do it too much because you have these heels that people are cheering for, and and it's harder to get your baby faces over against when you got heels that people are cheering for. Um, look, Dusty Rhodes was a clearly defined good guy. Ric Flair was the bad guy.
Yeah.
Right? There was no gray. Um, you know, um, Hulkamania during that first run of Hulkamania, there was, it was clear who the good guy was and who the bad guys were.
Yep.
Um, and all even then even with Austin, like his demeanor was not, he was not a white beat baby face by his demeanor, but he was the working man fighting against the evil corporate boss.
And he did the right thing always, saving Stephanie. Doing the thing,
Yes.
always doing the right thing. Right? No, you're right. No, you're right. You're right.
So I mean, so to me, yeah, it's just I mean, to me, you gotta
Gotta draw lines.
like you gotta go all the way because like look, I mean, Roman ditched the music and he ditched the stuff he used to wear to the ring.
Hmm.
Like he ultimately, he changed everything. And so, to me, stuff like that makes a difference. It's
Yeah.
the
Yeah. I'm with you. Real fast. Before we get to the next match.
okay.
Do you see Lyra holding that title through the summer? You see her losing it because obviously is Becky the one that takes off of her because obviously the feud's not over yet. Obviously,
Yeah.
this may go through the summer. Do you see her retaining all the way through, or do you see Becky at some point getting the title from her?
Um, Good question.
Does she even need a title at this point, Lyra? Does she need to keep it?
Does Lyra need to keep it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Because she's not there yet, man. Um, if it um if this ultimately ends with her losing the belt, I mean, then what? I mean, I don't think.
Unless you lose it, unless you lose the belt randomly on a Raw, and then she gets it back on another PLE.
Well, I think put it this way, I think when this feud ends, she needs to be holding the belt when the feud ends.
Right. That's what I'm saying. So like,
Okay.
I see us going through at least through Money in the Bank, maybe even beyond. And then once that happens, maybe it goes through Night of Champions. You just mentioned, and then she loses the belt, gets it back. Because I don't think Becky needs a belt right now.
Well, see my thing with that is, well, look, I mean, I think championship wrestlers should never stop winning belts. Okay.
Well,
Um,
well, of course you were in that T-shirt in Charlotte Flair.
well, I mean, but just look, I mean, but still, I mean, just in general, because no, because some people in the IWC they get to a certain point where people are like, well, that person doesn't need to ever be champion ever again, right? And that's I mean,
Championship champion. I agree.
yeah, and that's I mean, now obviously that they don't, they can't hold it in perpetuity for their whole career. But
because we were saying too. Also, there's a lack of really good heels in the women's division.
well, on Raw right
And
now,
Becky is obviously the fresh candidate now. You have Charlotte obviously on one side,
yeah, but
okay, but you
she's
need
on SmackDown.
but you need another heel, and Becky is a fantastic candidate for that.
Yeah,
Becky should be in the world title picture, in my opinion, not in the middle card.
I think so. Yeah, I mean Becky. So if Becky doesn't win this at all, I think it's just to eventually kind of pivot to going back up after the world title.
But is there a way to do that without hurting her? Is the question. Like maybe she gets a title, quick IC title, then then she gives it back to Lyra at the PLE down the road.
Yeah, I mean, I think you could. Yeah, I mean, I think. Well, if they're going to extend this feud to like SummerSlam, then I think
And it,
you need to do a couple of title changes. You need to have
yeah,
Becky beat her, take
right.
it from her, and then lose it back to her at SummerSlam or whatever.
Because
Uh,
I mean, and the thing is, there's a story here. I mean, these people were one's a This is like the mentor mentee story. This is a story here. So you should get easily 3 months of more programming out of this without a problem. And you have Bailey to boot on top of that, the Bailey angle in this also.
yeah,
So
I think there's enough material here
yeah,
to take this a little bit longer.
yeah. Um, Dirty Dominic Mysterio and Penta for the IC title. I love how they're doing the Dominic thing. I know he got cheered heavily after winning at WrestleMania, but I love the fact that they put it like 5 minutes after he wins the title. I'm the greatest champion of all time. 20 minutes after winning a championship, I'm the greatest of all time. I love that. Obviously, that's bullshit because he's not even close.
Yeah,
But I love how they're trying to make sure he. Yeah. I know you guys cheered him, but he's a heel. He's a bad guy.
yeah. Because look, I think here's the thing. I mean, he's a dirtbag, right? I mean, that's what's gotten him over is being a like a.
Dirty Dom. It's in the name.
So I just don't. I mean, yeah, I mean, people are cheering him, but I don't know what you do with him if you turn him into a full-fledged baby face. Like, what do you do with that?
That doesn't work. I feel like there's certain wrestlers that I know never changed their role, but it was the right decision because that's just not who they are. Like Sting was babyface for his entire career. He was supposed to be, and he should have been because he is a good guy. You know,
Yeah,
Ted DiBiase. I know DiBiase had a little bit of like a babyface run. I know, like late with Money Inc. But otherwise, he's a heel his entire career, and he should have been because he played the heel role better than most.
and
I
even
think.
like even like before the $1 Million Man gimmick, he was a heel in Mid South,
There you go. I mean,
it was a different kind of character. He was like, but he was kind of like a violent kind of you know despicable kind of guy, but he wasn't, so it wasn't like a $1 Million Man, but he was a heel in Mid South before he came to the WWF, and because he used to like, he used to loaded glove to win matches and stuff like that,
mhm.
and um,
Was Rey Mysterio ever a heel?
um,
I remember him being a heel. Actually, to be honest with you.
I'm not. They might have done it for like 5 minutes in WCW because
Yeah,
they
right.
tried everybody. They because those last couple of years they tried
Bruh,
everything.
bruh, bruh. We ain't counting that shit.
Okay, not
Fuck
counting
all
that.
that.
Okay,
We ain't counting that shit. That
like okay, like
anything from 1999 to 2001 WCW, that's just off the books.
yeah, okay,
It's
so
off the books. We ain't,
not
we ain't,
counting
we
any
ain't
of
counting
that.
that shit. Fuck that.
Did
We ain't,
so no, I don't think Ray ever had like an actual dedicated.
yeah. And so we ain't acknowledging that shit. Trust me. Really good match. Probably that spot that Dominic did, the suicide DDT at the outside the ring. Oh
Yeah,
my
I
god,
mean,
amazing.
yeah, I mean, that was really impressive,
Yeah.
and that was something that looked a couple. There was a time where we didn't think he was ever going to be doing anything like that.
No, bro. There was a time when I remember when before him and his dad split up, where he did a frog splash. It was one of the worst frog splashes I've ever seen in my life. Like, dude, and now he's doing that shit. It's come
Yeah,
a long way. I get a match A- because obviously that spot number one rolls up my grade. But I'm a big Penta fan. Um, I am fearful that Penta's going to take too many L's to take the shine off a little bit. I don't like that. But
well, I think, well, he's not getting beat clean, so
yeah, that saves him. And Chad Gable, El Grande Americano come in
yeah.
there and making the, obviously costing the match there. Um, How long do you see Dominic holding this belt though? Because I can see a scenario where he's holding this belt for a while because he can get real natural heat on this thing in the same way he got heat when he first turned on his father. I know he got cheered WrestleMania, and obviously that was a thing, but they're doing a good job already in making sure they remind you, hey, by the way, this guy's a scumbag. Okay, he stole Dirty Dom. Stop
Yeah,
fucking cheering him. You know what I'm saying? And
yeah.
I can see, honestly, dude, you're gonna think I'm crazy. I can see him holding this title at least a Rumble, honestly, because that'd be a good thing because I think you need a he. That's the perfect one. Do you know what? Do you know who he could potentially be in terms of the title, heel wise? Honky Tonk Man.
I think it just comes down to like who you have to chase him, because one of the things that made the Honky Tonk Man thing work so well is because he had Steamboat, Savage, and Jake all coming after him,
And they couldn't get him.
and that's how they were able to prolong it as long as they
And
did.
Brutus.
And Brute, yeah, and so he had those guys. I mean, that's how they were able to prolong it that long because he had those guys coming after him. So it comes down to who do they have? Who do who what baby faces do they have on Raw to come after him? So AJ Styles is already mentioned. Yeah, he's already thrown his hat in the ring.
Yeah.
Um, and you can do one more match with Penta, maybe.
Yeah.
So you have both of them. You
I say you keep this title on him for a long time, let him generate some real heat, and what that does to that title, it elevates that title even more to the point
and
where
I mean,
whoever beats him in the future, it will mean something. The same way that when Warrior won in '88, same thing.
yeah. So yeah, I mean, so right now you got AJ, you still got Penta. Trying to think who else they have that could.
On the Raw roster,
Who?
on the Raw roster currently,
Yeah, on the Raw. Yeah.
when's the next draft?
They haven't said anything. Um, so yeah, they haven't. I mean, there's been no rumors or you know. So and
All
now
right.
it's
Yep.
already we're in the May now, and usually if they do it, it's usually happened by now. So
So you have
unless they do it in the
AJ.
fall.
You said AJ already. CM Punk is there. If you want to pull him, I wouldn't do that right now. I mean, that's
Yeah.
not something. Yeah, that's not really.
I mean, well, you could give Punk a title shot just as part of this whole feud, and then you could have Rollins and Braun Breaker beat
Yeah,
him up.
there isn't really. I mean, I'm looking at this roster. Kieran Cross is a heel. That's gonna work. Logan Paul's a heel. Um, Pete Dunne. No, I mean, Sami Zayn maybe.
Well, I
Rusev.
mean, but same. I mean, you do the same thing with Sammy with Punk. You could give him a title shot as part of his storyline with Rollins and Braun Breaker.
The only guy I would consider is probably Sheamus.
Oh yes, yes, yes. So I mean, Rumble might be stretching it, but I think you could definitely get to SummerSlam for
I'm,
sure.
I'm, what I'm trying to say is people always ask, well, why is Hunky so regarded as a great champion? And I keep saying it's the elevation that title he did because so many of these great wrestlers, former champions or championship pedigree guys, could not get the belt off of him. He kept
Right.
getting away. Dominic Mysterio has a similar character in a sense, where he keeps getting away with the fucking like tonight. Whether it's his own guys, which fucking Chad Gable helping him out, you know, it's always someone he's always getting away. And what that does is it elevates the title. It elevates it more. That's why when Warrior won, it was a big fucking deal at SummerSlam.
Yeah, and
You
then
know,
there's still people to come up from NXT. So I mean, you
that
could,
too also.
you could throw somebody like Trick Williams at him,
Hmm.
on this year. So
Yeah, I think the SmackDown roster is better than the Raw roster. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm way more impressed with the SmackDown roster. This is my opinion. All right. Last match here. Gunther and Pat McAfee.
um,
I give it a
I
B.
thought Gunther gave him a lot. I thought he gave him way more than I thought he was going to give him, and so I give Gunther credit for that because I mean that could have been a 2-minute murder.
Yeah.
Um, and he Pat did good getting his stuff in, and the stuff with Michael Cole,
Hmm.
trying to help him. Now I would have. I think one thing I did not like was once it was over, Pat shouldn't have been standing up. You
What do
know,
you mean? What do you mean?
just
Just like
when it was over, he got up. He got to be on his feet, and he got there, kind of stared at each other. You know, um, I think Pat should have stayed out. He should stay down. He should stayed out.
yeah, yeah, I agree with that. I wasn't a
That's
fan of the whole like respect thing at the end. I wasn't a fan of that
yeah. So I think Pat. That's one thing I did not like. Pat should have stayed down.
because the story here should be really Gunther's on a rampage after losing the title,
Yeah,
and whoever's in our way gets fucked up. Bottom line, and somehow like you kind of soften it up a little bit now.
because and I mean, look, then I mean, the rumor is that well, the rumor right now is that Goldberg is going to come back and that's going to be his retirement match.
Really?
That's what's been kind of well. I mean, I've seen that kind of kicked around, or people are making yeah, people are kind of putting that together in their own heads right now. I've seen in some places. There's no
No, because I don't necessarily disagree with it either. It does make sense
well,
with a
okay, because
lot of you,
they had a little interaction at Bad Blood last year. Um,
right?
so the seed was planted there, and Goldberg is doing his retirement match this year. He
Right.
he has
That's
that's
going
been
to happen.
verified, and my guess is it'll be at SummerSlam. And so I mean, we'll see if that happens. It just depends on how he wants to go out, right? If
Hmm.
because either he wants to go out riding off, triumphantly into the sunset, or he wants to go out putting somebody over. At this point, he's one of those people that I think it should be his call. He should be able to go wherever he wants to go.
Do you think let's play hypothetical quick? Do you think that if Gunther and Goldberg did meet at whatever SummerSlam or whatever PLE next, whatever, do you think if Goldberg beats Gunther, does that hurt Gunther at all?
Yes, I would
That's the
not
thing.
be.
That's why I would not want him. I would want Gunther to win that match, not
Well,
Goldberg.
yeah, if they do that match, Gunther's got to win.
Yeah.
Uh, but so if I mean, look, I was just said, look, if he wants to ride off into the sunset triumphantly, then you put him in there with Austin Theory for 3 minutes,
Yeah.
or Grayson Waller or somebody like that, or both of them, even right. You do something like that, and then and he spear jackhammer 1 2 3. Thanks for the memories, everybody. Right. So it just depends on what he wants to do. Again, I do not believe that the legends, the Hall of Famers. Some people think that you got to go out on your back. I do not believe that. I think you get to go out the way you want to go out. I think because Taker did not go out. Taker went out with a win. He did the Boneyard match. AJ Styles, he went out with a victory. Um, Sting went out with a win in AEW, and Sting won his match in his whole return, and I'm perfectly fine with that. There's no, you know, I'm sorry because to me, I was fine with that. Um, Edge's last match in WWE, he beat Sheamus. I had no problem with that. I think there's nothing wrong
Mhm.
with seeing especially if they're a baby face. Nothing wrong with seeing them ride off into the sunset with the hand raised one more time.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Right. Um, it does feel like this thing though is already done. Gunther and McAfee feud.
Oh yeah, that's
Looks like
over.
it's done.
That's over. That's
I don't
over.
think it's going to be. Yeah, they had the whole respect thing, and he walked in the
Yeah,
ring, and
yeah, it's
that's
over.
it. I think it's done. I think it's no
It
more.
should
No
be
more.
over. They should not go back to that. No.
I mean, there's no story there. I mean, the story was you mess around my friend. I seek revenge, and I got revenge, and now that's it.
Yeah.
And Gunther respects him, and that's it. But I think the story moving forward for Gunther should be, it should be the fact that, yeah, I lost my title. I'm on a rampage. Fuck you, and that's it. Anybody who was in my way is going to get destroyed. And he should be a monster moving forward.
Yeah. Now I will say this: if they are going to do one more match with him and Pat, then it should be a squash. He should kill him. He should come dead in 2 minutes.
I agree with 100% on that one.
because one of the things that was going on tonight was that he was kind of not taking Pat seriously.
Right. Yes.
So if they're going to do another match, then he needs to come out there and just be completely locked in and just murder him, and then Pat should do a stretcher job. Okay.
Yeah. No, I'm with you on that one. I'm with you on that one. All right. So that's the yeah, I guess that's it for now. We have
Yeah.
we cover all the matches there pretty
So let me just
much.
say, for me, this was their best show of the year.
Yeah, this is better than Mania. I'm sorry. Well, I mean, you
Yes,
can't.
yes,
Well,
yes, yes,
okay,
yes, 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 yes.
okay. So there, I the problem with that is that WrestleMania had a total of 13 matches. I'm talking about WrestleMania as a whole, night 1 and night 2,
Yeah.
versus 5. So the sample size is much larger on one end. It wasn't fair to compare the two, but there was more. There was I think there wasn't as much like meaning. There wasn't really a lot of consequential things that happened tonight. As much. I mean, obviously nothing was a surprise. Everything went the way we pretty much thought was going to go.
Yeah.
Whereas WrestleMania had consequential things that happened. So that's the different comparison.
Well,
It's
okay.
the expectations of a backlash is much smaller than WrestleMania, obviously.
Yeah.
So
But put it this way: Are we going to be talking? Will we be talking about this show next year? Will we be reminiscing about this show next year? Probably not.
no,
Okay. No, we
no,
won't. But was it a better show? Yes. Okay. It's just like, look, if you go out there and if you quarterback throws 25 passes and he only gets like 225 yards, but he throws 3 touchdowns and no interceptions and you win the game.
yeah,
Okay. Whereas, the other quarterback throws 50 passes and has 400 yards, but threw 3 interceptions, right? He threw more passes, so yeah, he's going to have more interceptions, but he still got the interceptions, right? I mean, and to me, like this year, WrestleMania was one of those games where you threw 50 passes and yeah, you got a bunch of yards, but you also threw a bunch of interceptions.
right,
Um, and so yeah, I mean, its sample size is smaller, but look, there have been 5 match shows there have been stinky 5 match shows. Okay, only having 5 matches doesn't guarantee that they're all going to be, doesn't guarantee anything. There are stinky match shows that only have 5 matches. So
yeah. By the way, so I guess I'm going through my social media right now, and apparently, oh snap! So John Cena just gave an adjustment to our truth at the here. I'm gonna play it on my phone. I can't really show the video because I don't get copyrighted. Here's and here's like the post conference.
So proud of you. I never gave up. I've always supported you. You know we got a lot of history. You know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying, dog? I'm so proud of you. Even if people say you suck and can't wrestle.
So he gets up now.
Ron, that was over the line.
oh,
You say one more thing, and I promise there'll be repercussions. But I just want to tell you.
Picks him up. Adjustment over the table.
oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah,
No more questions. Okay, so again, our truth will be part of the story.
yeah.
A massive part of the story moving forward.
Because I stayed completely off social media during the show tonight.
I did not go on there actually. I texted you guys. I texted you and a couple of my friends. That's it through the show. I don't necessarily enjoy going on social media anymore. During shows like I used to. Even doing playoff games, I don't go as much. I may tweet something quickly to something on my mind. But other than that, I tend to like keep it to my text, my friends. To you guys. That's it.
I stayed completely off of it tonight.
What was your reason though?
Well, just honestly because I was in the group chat with DJ and some other folks, and I had Backlash on my laptop, and I was doing some PS5 stuff at the same time.
Oh, okay.
So, but you know what? But it was a better experience because here's the thing, right? On social media, because at least on my social media feeds, one of two things that happens, right?
Yeah.
Either people shitting on everything, or there are people justifying or people rationalizing stuff that wasn't very good, right?
Right.
And those things are both running at this, or sometimes people are just like, for me, just a little too hyperbolic, like, "Oh, this is the greatest thing ever," and then it's
Yeah.
like, "No, wait, it wasn't." Okay, so for me, just yeah, I mean, social media doesn't, yeah, it doesn't. Staying off of there, completely off of there tonight, actually made the experience better for me.
Yeah.
Um, because you get sucked into that thing, and then for me, like, you end up looking for stuff to criticize sometimes because you get sucked into that kind of vortex, and and it's just very easy to get sucked into that kind of social media mentality, or something that, or you end up looking for something to argue about or
Yeah.
something,
Of
and
course. I'm with you. 100%. 100%. Yeah. Same thing
I
with
mean,
it's anything in general in social media, even sports, same thing.
yeah, I mean,
So I'm like,
I
dude,
mean,
I'm
like,
good.
I
I'll
mean,
tap out.
there's a big, I mean, the big positive of social media is that I met a lot of really cool people,
Yeah. Absolutely.
and so when I talk to them, everything's fine,
It's
right?
different. Yeah. Exactly.
But
Exactly.
it's just, and then, but yeah, and as we know, you can't avoid it. Tries as hard as you try, you can't avoid the shit
Nope.
because
Nope.
even you can block and mute a bunch of people, then somebody's always got to put a screenshot in there of somebody, right? And you can't escape the shit, and no matter how hard you try.
Yeah. I'm totally with you, man.
And so
Anyway.
yeah, like the movie War Games. Did you see that? It's a old ladies movie.
Oh, what? No, what is it?
War Games.
The movie itself, or
The movie, yeah, the movie itself.
It's been years, but yeah.
Okay, but at the end, the computer Joshua has run through all the World War III simulations,
You're right.
and he says, well, strange game. The only winning move is not to play, and that's kind of. And when it comes to social media, there
Yeah.
are definitely days like that where the only winning move is not to
Not to
play.
play. Yes. Yes. So true. Anyway, that's Rob the Genius. You can follow him, of course, on X, whatever, at Arb11, as well as Blue Sky. I'm on Twitter at EJChristian7. Follow us anywhere. Racket Reaction Podcast. We'll be back to you guys, hopefully, I think this Tuesday on the show. Hopefully, Rob, you're available.
Yes,
Do the
yes, I
show.
will be.
All right, awesome. And again, thanks guys for watching. Do an instant reaction to WWE Backlash. We'll see you guys on Tuesday.